Hello to everybody. Good evening to you all. I'd like to welcome you to Business Club's Food Business event, which is the first part of our Let's Scale series. This event is organized and hosted by the USC branch of the Business Club Network, Business SC, and I'm your host, Giovanni Zarur, chairman of Business SC. I'm accompanied by our fantastic speakers today, Bill Phelps, CEO of Dave's Hot Chicken, co-founder of Wretzels Pretzels, and the founding investor in Blaze Pizza. Arman Oganesyan, co-founder of Dave's Hot Chicken. Desi Saran, CEO of Sweetberry Bowls and co-founder of Brandswaggin, which is a digital marketing and web development agency. And Arthur Arushanian, CEO of Pokitomik. So not to waste any time, let's get right into it and start off our questions for tonight, which will be directed towards all of the speakers. For our first question, just looking for a quick answer here. Can you describe your business, locations, and what food you specialize in? Let's start with Desi.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on here. My concept is called Sweetberry. I founded it about 3 years ago. We're a healthy, fast casual concept. We specialize in poke bowls, acai bowls, wraps, and salads. Currently, we have 14 locations, primarily in New Jersey, but we're also in South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and Pennsylvania.
Cool. Sorry. Okay, thank you. Now, Arthur.
Hey guys, we Pokitomik, so we have poke bowls, poke specialty items, burritos, tacos, and all that. We started less than 2 years ago, and we are working on our third location. We're located in Glendale, one in North Hollywood, and our third location in Simi Valley will be opening in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Arthur. Bill.
Arman, you want to take this one for us?
Yeah, I'll just one. You can do the next one. We'll go back and forth. My name is Arman. I'm the co-founder of Dave's. We started Dave's in a parking lot a few years ago as a fast casual concept serving tenders and tender sandwiches, and met with Bill a year into the concept, and now we're opening, I believe, our 7th location soon, and we have almost 200 locations signed in the pipeline, ready to open. Nice.
So for Bill and Arman, I think if you guys want to split up the questions, that's fine. Since you guys are both Dave's, so I'll just say Dave's and one of you will answer. But
perfect.
That's
perfect.
Okay, sure. If either of you have something to add in, though, please feel free to do so.
Great.
Regardless, for our next question, is the business's initial vision or plan as it was when it was founded the same as it is now? So if not, how has it changed? Let's start with Dave's. Let's go.
Arman, this is yours. You had the initial vision.
Yeah. Actually, funny enough, one of the coolest things about Dave's is how Bill and stuff really understand the energy of the concept and the brand and what we stood for, and how we always work to maintain that. So Dave's kind of has maintained the exact same vision we started off with, which was to serve really fresh food, to all kinds of people, and, have this nice hip vibe, and to kind of change up this, boring fast food industry. And we've really kind of kept that, and we've actually kind of took it to the next level, I feel like. So definitely it's there and a little past it, I would say.
Yeah, cool. When I go and eat at Dave's, I notice the hip vibe that you're talking about. So it seems like that vision that you tried to fulfill is like really still holding true even as you expand throughout the country.
Definitely. Did you ever go to the parking lot?
The parking lot, I never did, but I've heard about it a lot. And
okay, cool, man. Just making sure, because you look familiar. I was like, I feel like we've served you at one point, man. I was like, you look like we've given you chicken before.
I definitely have had it quite a few times.
Right
on. Now, Arthur.
Hey guys, yeah, the vision. I mean, honestly, me and Sako, my partner Sonny, our vision was basically to start a restaurant. That's about it. Start a business, start a restaurant, food. And that's what happened. Has the vision changed? Absolutely. We've grown, and I'll give credits to Dave's Hot Chicken. Actually, we saw that how they started from a parking lot, and they moved on to this huge franchise, and the vision changed right there. And so we're working on the same concept, trying to grow. And now today, now that I've seen the numbers in the last 2 years, I know the vision has changed. Definitely, it went from just owning one restaurant into let's see how big we can go. Take over the Poke game.
So that's your vision now, is to expand and take over the Poke game. And
Absolutely, like the Poke was, I love Poke, and it's always been like basic, just a bowl of Poke. And so we wanted to make it Poke like fun and new, like a special, have specialty items in there. So we introduced the hot Cheeto burrito, which was a big hit, and we've got tacos. We want to bring back the nachos, so and all kinds of stuff I can't obviously talk about right now, but we have a lot of great new ideas moving forward. So yeah, absolutely, we want to grow into this big Poke franchise.
that sounds like good marketing, the hot Cheeto idea and everything.
Absolutely, I know you've tried it before, right?
Yeah, I have a question for you guys about marketing, but
Yes.
thank you for your answer. Now, Desi, how about you?
Yeah, I wish I was on the West Coast. I could come check you guys out because you guys look like you have awesome concepts. I feel like I'm the only East Coaster over here. But this is actually my second restaurant concept. I got bought out of my first one 3 years ago, and we built one of the biggest acai bowl concepts. It's funny because I always tell people that all the trends from the West Coast hit the East Coast like 10 years later. You guys always make things that, hip and cool, and then for some reason it takes forever till it hits like New York, New Jersey area. Poke just started popping up around in New Jersey about 3 years ago, so I incorporated that in my concept. So when I founded Sweetberry, it wasn't just about offering acai bowls. We wanted to create and spread healthy food, and what we noticed, especially on the East Coast, was people started eating a lot healthier. I know it's a big thing in California, and you guys, I feel like, are, like I said, a decade ahead of us. But thank God people started catching on to that wave. And, for us as a company, the goal was to help people eat healthier, but also, our mantra is spreading good food and spreading good vibes. So like Arman said, it's about, also the vibe of the experience in our restaurants. When you come in, people always tell us that are inside, it makes them feel like they're on vacation, or, they're away, they're in like a tropical place, because they're away, they're really cold by us sometimes. We're entering our winter here. I know you guys don't have to experience that in California. So the vision has always been the same, to give people an experience, offer them really great food, and to expand from a franchise level. Like I said before, we're in about 5 states. We also want to go international as well. We had a deal actually in the Middle East right before COVID started, and then COVID put a pause on everything right now. So vision is going to be the same, and hopefully we're in more states by this time next year, and maybe internationally as well.
Nice. Spread good food and good vibes. I like that.
Yeah. Thank you.
You actually mentioned a deal in the Middle East. Could you expand on that, or is that some information you can't speak on yet?
No, I could talk about it. I mean, there's always been interest for us to expand there. I've had a fascination with those areas like Dubai, Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. Those areas are always looking for the next big thing from the U.S. Believe it or not. Yeah. If you ever go there, you'd be surprised how many American concepts you see over there. So there was a restaurant group that was interested in bringing us over as a franchise model. And like I said, unfortunately, COVID kind of put a pause to everything. So we'll probably revisit that next year.
Okay. Thank you, Desi. So for our next question, how is your full service experience and or dining in experience currently moving forward? Are you reconceptualizing a more delivery friendly and pickup friendly environment? And in what ways have these things changed since pre-COVID? Let's start with Dave's.
I think that's a Bill question.
Okay. Our business obviously changed dramatically. We were at about 50% dine-in prior to COVID, and we quickly shifted almost overnight mid-March, and we went to online ordering, and then we put in third-party delivery, and it was all in a matter of about 2 weeks. And we were scared to death. Our business dropped 25% the last 2 weeks of March, and we turned it all around. And because the product travels so well and is still great when it's delivered 45 minutes later, our third-party delivery business went crazy, and our business is actually higher than it was in the pre-COVID. But it was a night and day change in the business. And I don't think it's ever going to be the way it was. I think it's a permanent move towards takeout and third-party delivery.
That's interesting how you mentioned that your business now is better than it was before. So the delivery delivery friendly environment that you established actually really helped.
It helped a lot. Yeah, it helped a lot. And like I said, when you get that product home, a lot of products don't travel well. So you get a burger from Shake Shack. Burgers from Shake Shack are great, but you take that 30, 40 minutes later, I think it's a pretty mediocre product, as most of the burgers are. But you take a Dave's hot chicken, because it's fried, it tastes phenomenal, and it's hot and juicy and spicy, and you just want to order it again.
Great. Yeah, I can concur with that opinion for sure. Thank you.
Giovanni's going on DoorDash right now. Look at him. He's about to order Dave. I see it. He's like, I can concur with that, right? Mild, medium. Saw you, dude.
Thank you so much. Desi, how about you?
Yeah, we were very similar to Dave's. I would say our dine-in is probably about 50 to 60%. Everything else is off-premise. For those of you that don't know what off-premise is, it's third-party delivery, it's catering, it's drive-through, basically anything that's outside of the four wall, right? Anything that's where the customer is not coming into the restaurant. So I agree with Bill in that this whole industry has changed, where, you know, we were already seeing less and less customers coming into the restaurant. Now it's about getting our food to the customer. Most of the time they're at their house. So we really have to rely on third-party delivery. And it's important to make sure that it travels well. Unfortunate because, you know, prior to COVID, we were already on the big four. We were on DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, and Postmates. We never did our own in-house delivery. You know, I just thought it was just, it's a whole different animal to learn. So, you know, the game right now for a lot of restaurant operators that are shifting and relying on third-party delivery, like Dave's, is really understanding each and every third-party delivery company, their nuances, how to be profitable on there, you know, because they charge fees and everything. So a lot of our business has shifted into that. And we do a lot of our you know, what's also called first party, so in-house ordering through our own online ordering platform and our app. And interesting, we also just partner with DoorDash. So if a customer orders from our app or our website, they can do pickup, or now they can order delivery through us, but really DoorDash comes in and fulfills that order. So it's another interesting step that other operators are taking, where they're partnering with like a DoorDash just for the delivery aspect, and the customers are not ordering through the DoorDash. So really looking at exploring all these channels is super important. And this really has become a game of like, you know, it's not geared so much as retail anymore. This is an online e-commerce play. You know, I see that as everything's transitioning online. Our customers are on their cell phones and their iPhones 6 to 8 hours a day, right? And they want the convenience of pressing one button on their phone and having that food travel to their house within 30 to 40 minutes and still hot and tasting good. So I think that, you know, any restaurant operator right now, if they want to adapt and survive through this and really wow your customer, you have to double or triple down into this. And, you know, this is what we're seeing every restaurant operator do right now.
So you said for DoorDash, they offer delivery for your own delivery, or for your own delivery service on your website. Is that an API that you put on your website?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So they have a service called DoorDash Drive. And what they do is they have an API and they'll partner with other third-party platforms. So we didn't build our online ordering platform ourselves. We use a company called Tap Mango. I think they're based out of Canada, and they built our app for us. Yeah, they're awesome company, and we do all of our loyalty and our rewards to them, kind of like Starbucks. And we recently just built the integration with DoorDash, so now our customers can choose delivery. The nice thing about that is that we're not paying all these extra fees to DoorDash or Uber Eats, and it's cheaper for the customer too. So everybody wins in that transaction where, typically you're going to order through Uber Eats or DoorDash, it's really expensive. And for those people that don't understand, it's because they take, about 30% of your commission from the transaction. So the restaurant has to increase the prices to offset that. Whereas we're doing first party, our customers are ordering directly through us. We can charge our normal prices.
Can you tell me what was the name of the company that you used in Canada?
Bill, it's called Tap Mango. I can intro to you guys those after the
cool
after the show if you want.
That sounds cool. Awesome.
Yeah, no problem.
Actually, Tap Mango reached out to my family's business, so that's why I knew about them previously, because I was in contact with a salesperson. But regardless, thanks for your
yeah, and just a quick note, I have nothing but good things to say about those guys. I mean, us operators here, we get contacted by tons of vendors, and software is exploding right now. This pandemic has created a huge market opportunity for restaurant software companies. Tap Mango has been great. So if you want to talk about them offline too, we can as well.
Okay. I think if there's anything that's changed in this restaurant business, it's the technology piece. It is night and day versus what it was just 5 years ago. And if you don't have, you need a really sophisticated tech operation in order to run a restaurant chain these days. It's night and day, and it's fascinating.
True. And I agree with what Desi said about, I think it was interesting that he said you need to understand the nuances between the different delivery services and third-party software companies that are involved with you. So that was good input. How about you, Arthur? What is your business doing with this?
Yeah, so we always had online platforms since we started. We had a few of them, DoorDash and Grubhub, and then we got Postmates. And so, but I would say 80% was in-store, people who walk in. And just like Bill mentioned, in around, the third week of March, it just stopped completely. Like nobody was walking into the store. And so everything went online. But over time, we also have services where we work with a company called Blitzful, and they create a website where you can place, customers can place orders from your website directly to come pick up or have delivery, and they work with Postmates to deliver the food. And we've been using that, and honestly, over time, our pickup rate has gone up basically. So people are ordering online, but they are coming into the store and picking it up. And, over time, actually, for Pokitomik, a lot of customers, our loyal customers, have still been coming in and ordering the food and just getting it to take out. And we have grown through COVID a lot, actually. Originally, it slowed down. And then over time, we just picked up, and we've been growing since. Hence why we're picking up our third location during this crisis, and because it's Poki, as Bill was mentioning, Poki also travels really well. It's cold food; it's not hot food or anything. So it comes to you fresh from the restaurant to your house. So it works really well with online platforms. But yeah, like you definitely you have to adapt in this business, in the restaurant business. You have to adapt quickly. Things change really quickly for the world. And if you sit around and you're just waiting, or you're basing everything on what you thought you knew 5 years ago or 3 years ago, you'll just die off and someone else will take your place.
Cutthroat. Yeah, but it's interesting to see that many businesses are actually experiencing growth during COVID. It does have to do a lot with adapting. So what you said really does hold. So thank you. For our next question, this one is having talked about the pre-COVID to the current conditions. Now we're going to talk about transforming or transitioning from current conditions to post-COVID. So, how do you see the transition from the new normal or our COVID conditions to the future normal, or what will follow after the pandemic? Do you think you'll still be doing business in the way that it is currently, or we'll go back to normal or something else? So let's start with Arthur, actually.
Yeah. So the question I'm sorry. The question is, how are we going to move forward post COVID?
Post COVID, correct. What do you think it's going to be?
Yeah. I don't think we're gonna be normal anymore. Honestly, things are gonna change. I don't know what normal is anymore after 2020. Um, it's just been one thing after another,
Right.
and I think some people are probably not gonna dine in for a very long time, even if they come out with some cure or COVID goes away.
Yeah.
This has had a psychological effect, I think, on some people. And so moving forward, I think that online online companies, platforms, delivery services are they're gonna grow. Basically, they're gonna adapt. New technology is gonna come out, and moving forward, I mean, I can't really answer too much because, like I said, you have to adapt. We'll see what happens next month. In Simi Valley, for example, we're opening, and they are allowing 25% of capacity dine-in. That was last week when we talked to the health department. This week, starting today, they just stopped that because COVID moved. So again, I went from cool, we'll have some dine-in to okay, no more dine-in again. So now I got to figure out, we have outside patios, by the way, for people who still want to eat outside. Because there are customers who still like the outside experience, the getting out from the house and eating outside. Like there's something in that also. So we just have to go with the flow, basically.
Right.
As things change in life.
Yeah. There's a lot of adapting involved in it.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. Desi?
Yeah, it's super interesting. I mean, I could answer this question in several ways. And I agree with Arthur 100% that the experience is not going to go away, and you're going to have a lot of people that are, they have that aftertaste in their mouth, or they're scared, or they're just not going to eat out as much. So you really have to offer something as a restaurant to entice people to come in post-COVID, right? So this starts to trickle away, that there's an after effect of people thinking they're going to get sick, or they're just used to not going into the restaurant as much. So as an operator, we have to be very experiential, right? Not just the interior and the vibes of being inside of the restaurant, but what else can we offer our customer that is kind of innovative, that's going to entice them? Because now it's an even harder sell to get them to leave their house and come into your restaurant. Prior to COVID, that was challenging, right? I'm sure all of us know about restaurant marketing, how hard it is to actually drive business into your door, to get them to leave their house and come into the restaurant. That's challenging in itself. Now we're dealing with a whole different environment and world here. So I think there's going to be long-lasting effects here. I think that, the off-premise, like I mentioned before, is going to continue to increase. I think what I researched earlier in this year, last year, was, again, it was about 55% off-premise. If you think about that last year, that's an astounding number. 55% of all diners in the restaurant industry are not coming into the restaurant anymore. What does that look like today? Or after COVID? It's probably going to be way higher. I mean, we're talking 60, 65%, so the remaining 25, 35%, they are coming in, but the majority are not, right? So again, it's going to be, how do we get our food to our customer fast, convenient, and super easy. The thing about technology right now is that the customer wants everything super simple, super easy, right? They just want to click a button. That's why a lot of customers will continue to pay, even though it's more expensive to order through Uber Eats, DoorDash, these platforms, it's almost double sometimes of how expensive it is. It literally, they're paying for convenience and the premium. So if you think about that, if somebody comes into your restaurant and they can buy an item for $10, but they have to get up, drive their car, go to your restaurant and maybe risk getting sick, all of that. Instead, they're willing to press a button on their phone and pay $25 or $23 for that same item after all the delivery fees and upcharges and everything. They're willing to do it. And the thing is, there's a stickiness factor with a lot of these, customers where they're going to keep doing it. The second that they open up their Uber Eats or their DoorDash app, they've already decided they're going to buy, right? And that comes back to us as restaurateurs understanding how to optimize DoorDash and Uber Eats so we get the customers to buy. So we have to understand each one of those marketplaces. There's pros and cons about that where, the pros are there's millions and millions of users on these marketplaces. The cons are we're also competing with millions and millions of those users. The other thing I want to answer about your question in a post-COVID environment is we talked about how it expedited technology. What I saw, prior to this was a shift in people ordering in the store to, a kiosk was the next big thing where people could come in, they order on a kiosk. Like McDonald's has gigantic kiosks that are bigger than you. They're awesome. They upsell you. You could save money on not spending that money on a cashier because in a lot of places, like I think you guys have minimum wage in California, New Jersey just did it. Minimum wages are going up. Florida, I saw is the, I think 13th state to do it. It's harder for restaurants to operate. So we're finding technology is kind of like the answer. But since COVID happened, I feel like the entire kiosk industry is going to get wiped out because guess what? Nobody wants to touch anything anymore, right? So we just took that entire step out, and now the kiosk is your phone. Now the menu is your phone. For all of us that have gone out dining, we're not handing out physical menus anymore. You're scanning a QR code. Literally everything's on your phone. So that's how we have to think in terms of technology. The menu's on our phone right now. It's not inside the restaurant. It's not a kiosk anymore. Everything has to be directed to the phone, which I feel like that expedited about 3 to 5 years here.
Right. Thank you. That was a great answer. And
That's a great answer. That was really very impressive.
Thank you.
I agree. It seems like technology really is the future of any industry, including this one.
Yes.
So, Dave's, I don't know if Bill or Arman wants to answer this question.
I think this is more of a Bill question, but I could add that I definitely agree with, both of the previous answers is all we can really do is kind of like, see what comes up. And obviously from a marketing point, adjust our marketing to make sure that our customers know that they have the options of DoorDash and all these third-party deliveries. And from an operations standpoint, making sure that we have, the logistics to handle the orders coming in. And again, in a post-COVID state, hopefully maybe, to bring some people back in, outdoor dining is a really cool thing. So, some cool designs and things like that would be really great. But like they said, just more of the same, a lot of third-party deliveries, taking things as they come, making sure that you have the operations in place to handle everything. And just adjusting to the times. But I think both of the previous answers kind of got it spot on.
Okay, thank you.
I'm more upbeat than these young guys.
Tell us, Bill.
I think next year when we get vaccines, it's going to be the party of your lifetime.
Yeah. It's funny that Bill had that answer out of everybody. It's like, you guys don't, you young ass kids, you
guys are.
I hope so.
The
I hope
roaring
so.
20s. The roaring 20s will be redone in 2021 and 2022. It'll be the party of your lifetime.
That'll be amazing. That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
If that happens, then we'll have to do something. But that'll be really, really cool. Because that'll bring up a bunch more opportunities and a bunch more different for customers. But like Bill said, there are people like me that just can't wait to get back out there and are dying at the opportunity for things to open back up, to go back out, to talk with people, to be social again. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people like me. So when the time comes, people are going to want to go out, and we definitely need to be able to cater to those people, but also be able to cater to the people that don't want to go out. So just kind of keeping your options open for both is very important.
Yep, that's true. And in all seriousness, I think I look at Panera Bread announced that they're actually cutting their dining rooms down by 25% on all restaurants going forward. And I think that's going to be across the industry. As these guys are saying, I think this is a permanent shift. The delivery and takeout business is going to be permanently shifted, probably to the tune of 20% of business, which it's a game changer for the business.
Yeah. And either way it goes, whether it we reopen again or we stay with this technology driven industry, either way, if things change, as many of you said, it's about adapting, and it's a very adaptive industry. So yeah.
And I think what's another thing to keep in mind, especially for us at Dave's, is as long as also we keep the quality of the food up, regardless of whether it's a third-party delivery, an in-person, or a pickup, as long as we keep the quality of the food up, we feel like that's when the people really come in. That's when people are even interested in the third-party delivery. So I think another part of it also is making sure that you don't let your food lose the quality and believing that, oh, we're doing third parties, we're doing these things, and we don't have to focus on the food as much anymore. At Dave's, I believe we also still really focus on the food because we kind of understand that the driving factor at the end of the day behind everything is the food. And no matter how good your marketing is, no matter how well you're adjusting to the third-party delivery and all these things, at the end of the day, if your product is not cutting it, a lot of it doesn't matter. And if you also maintain a really good product, then you can kind of maybe not be 100% on all these things, but it's still going to work out because the customers want the food. And they're like, Bill knows this, but we're huge In-N-Out fans, and we've been In-N-Out was probably one of our biggest inspirations. And obviously, In-N-Out does zero third-party deliveries; they do nothing. And we go to In-N-Out maybe 4 times a week. Literally, we go 4 times a week. So for us, we know we don't have the convenience to order it, but because we love the food so much, we are willing to sit in our cars. We are willing to go there. We are willing to stand in the line, potentially risk getting sick just to eat this burger. And that kind of teaches us also that, like, at the end of the day, as long as this product is good and tasty, like, people will risk it because we risk it and we see it in ourselves. So I think that's another thing to keep in mind, is to make sure that the product you have stays at the highest possible level it can stay, because that's what's really the main driving force behind all your sales.
Fantastic. Thank you all for your answers. So moving on to the next question. Based on the number of current restaurant closures and the availability of locations, are you considering expanding your brands? I know Dave's would like to answer this question first, as they're franchising right now. So let's go with them.
Yeah, Bill will take this one.
Yeah, we see the issues we've gone through this year as opening up incredible number of opportunities. I think the number is somewhere between 15 and 20% of restaurants in America are going to close on a permanent basis. And that's really sad. Obviously, it's incredibly sad. Now, we were over-restauranted, so it was natural that it was going to go that way at some point. But COVID has totally exacerbated that. And you're going to have, I think the number is probably 15 to 18% permanent closures. What that does is it opens up all kinds of opportunities for new guys to go in and take what you call second generation space and go in and take over a Burger King that went out, or a Carl's Jr. that went out, or something like that, or a Boston Market. And those will create great opportunities over the next few years. And you're going to see restaurants changing their names dramatically over the next 12 months.
Interesting. Thank you. Desi?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I think that, first of all, it is really sad about how many restaurants are actually closing. I actually think that number's higher. I studied economics in college, and I've been following this really closely. Some of the early projections they were saying was like 30%, which that's a scary number. I mean, if you think about that number, the amount of people that rely on those jobs, It's a really big part of our retail sector. I think the next 4 or 5 months are going to be really telling with COVID spikes going up, and we're going through winter over here. I'm right next to New York City, so it's a little different. I feel like you guys are fortunate enough. You're in a place like on the West Coast where you don't see it, you don't feel it as much. Where on the East Coast, it's super cold here. It gets dark at 4:30 p.m. and you're seeing a lot of places being boarded up and just going under. So it's unfortunate. This is something like this is a situation where we've never seen before. Again, I feel like the numbers of closures, not just restaurant, retail in general, it's going to be pretty high. But that being said, those who make it to the other side, there's going to be less competition, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity. We're doing the same thing. We're expanding on a franchise level, and I have potential franchisees calling me in warmer weather areas like the Carolinas, South Carolina, Florida, where it's not, the economy is not being hit as hard. So there's definitely time for an opportunist like a potential franchisee to call a great concept, like a Dave's Chicken, and say, I think it's time for me to start a restaurant, because the landscape is good for them right now. I mean, they can get rents for really, really cheap, really good terms, just because landlords are hurting right now. There's a lot of places that are going out. So there's opportunity for, restaurant operator to come in, negotiate a really low risk rent, maybe something short term. Typically you do 5 years. I mean, you could do something like 2 to 3 years just in case. And for those brands that are poised for like hyper growth, now's the time. So some of the best brands and some of the best companies were built during recessions. So it's going to be interesting, because like I said, I feel like a lot of businesses and companies will hurt, and unfortunately some of them won't be around anymore. But on the flip side, for those opportunists, this is a really good time to get into the market.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks, Desi. Arthur?
Yeah, it's really sad, because I have a lot of friends that are in the business world in general, not only restaurants, and I saw a lot of them close down. So off the bat, it wasn't like a happy moment. It sucks basically, but that is the business world. Like natural selection. Like some people fall off, some people will grow. It's just how things work. And we are definitely thinking, actually, we're taking this opportunity, because as people are closing, people who are making it to the other side have more opportunity. And this is not the time to like sleep basically on it. And so what we've been doing is, the reason we've opened our second and third, and we're looking into more locations during COVID, is because previous speaker was sharing, the rent vacancy is very high right now. So landlords are definitely working with people more, because they know it's going to be empty for a while. So you're getting better opportunity to open up with a little less risk, but at the same time more risk, because we don't know where this is going. Like, they might just fully shut everything down in 2 weeks. We don't know. So you're kind of taking a risk, but at the same time, you're getting an opportunity. It's really exciting as a business owner. And we've been getting a bunch of emails about a lot of poke places have been emailing us saying, hey, we see that you guys are growing. We see your Instagram, and we are closing our shop. Did you guys want to pick that up? And we have to study which location we want, which one we don't. But yeah, that's what's happening. We definitely are gonna grow, and like Desi was sharing, a lot of businesses also grew during recessions or hard times. Like most of the tech companies that we know of grew in the .com crash of 2000, and then there's a lot of companies that were started after the housing market crash, 2008 or 9. I believe Netflix, for example, is one of them, and or maybe they came a little later. But companies go out and companies get started during these times, and That's just the way business world is.
Right. So you mentioned that when you look to open new locations, there's things you have to research. What are certain things that you research? What criteria you look into when you want to open a new location in a certain area?
Well, for us, it's number one is how much competition do we have in that area? Uh, you know, we have to see how other businesses are doing. So on foot, I will walk to other businesses and find out how they're doing. If let's say you walk down a block and all 5 businesses are like, dude, sales are horrible right now, I'm probably not going to pick that up. So that happened in one of the areas actually where we originally wanted that city. We wanted to originally put the first Pokitomik in that city, but after doing some research, it's a very high risk now because of COVID, and because I don't know where COVID is going, I wouldn't pick that area up. But if I see this, not a lot of competition, and it's a high, because every city is affected differently, basically, during COVID. So we just have to go city by city. Because for example, I'm from Ventura County. We haven't been affected by COVID as much as LA County has, for sure. And so it's a little different here. And then there's cities where everything got closed, and that definitely will affect future business. So I'll look into that and see how many other businesses have gone out next to the Poke, let's say. So.
All right, thank you, Arthur. So for our next question, on the report of a study by the Ohio State University, and as quoted by CNBC in 2016, 60% of restaurants fail within their first year, and almost 80% fail within the first 5 years. What do you think is the reason for so much failure in the restaurant industry? And to follow up with that, what are some things new restaurant owners should know about the obstacles in starting a business? Let's start with Desi.
Yeah, that's a really good question. That ties into the last question about picking real estate. I think that is probably one of the most important things if you're going to open a restaurant. It's picking the right location. Your realtor will always tell you location, location, location. I probably opened probably a little over 30 different units. Some I've had to close down, and a bunch of them were this year because of the pandemic. You want to make sure that, number one, you understand your model. And when I say that, and if you're franchising and you're expanding, your model should produce a certain amount of sales based on that, right? You want to budget out what your rent is going to be and what you can afford to pay in rent, right? Typically, restaurant operators budget 8%. I don't know what you guys do at Dave's Chicken. If you're over 10%, 12%, 14%, it's just way too high, and the economics don't work. I've learned that the hard way. So when you're picking a location, you want to make sure that you're within the budget and the scope. Now that I've learned, and my model has been with Sweetberry, I operate 7 corporate stores and we have 7 franchises. When I choose a franchisee and when they're onboarding, I'm very, very strict with approving the site and the location. I want to make sure it checks off all of our metrics. And that they can afford it. I don't want to ever take a risk where they say, "Oh, I love this location," and I tell them it's too expensive, and we take a risk of them meeting those sales. We know what works. So for the more experienced restaurateurs, I think it comes down to like really understanding your finances. Going back to your question about why a lot of them fail, I think that's one of the main ones. It's a lot of first-time restaurateurs, and I know a lot of them, and I've seen a lot of them. They come in and they think this is easy. The restaurant business is a fun, can be a very rewarding business, but you really have to know what you're doing because the margins are really thin. The industry that we're in, fast casual, I would say our profits are probably anywhere between 10% or less, maybe 10 to 20% if you're a good operator. People don't realize full service with waiters, bartenders, cooks. They're well under 8%. You're talking like 6, 5, 4%. It's razor thin. That's why what's happening right now is a lot of these full service restaurants that are shutting down, they can't do it. They can't swing it. This is just putting them into extinction. For us, the industry that we're in, healthy fast casual, we survive. We can survive. We have a chance here, and we've transitioned into full takeout and everything. So I think to answer your question, it really comes down to like understanding how to operate a restaurant and keeping your expenses under control. Your two most variable expenses are your food costs and your labor, right? And then the rent is fixed. So if you pick the wrong location and a location that's too expensive, you're screwed basically. And I've made those mistakes, and now I know that, hey, I love this location. In my head, I'm like, if that's a risk, or I think I'm not going to be able to hit the sales, or why take that chance? So I hope I'm giving good advice to anybody that's listening. It really comes down to understanding your model and understanding finances.
Yeah, that's great advice. So expenses, finances, and location are very important. Thank you. How about Dave's?
I think Bill will have his own answer for this, but I can give like my version. The way we looked at it when we were starting Dave's, because obviously a lot of people told us that, they gave us the same statistics, and, we were opening our concept in a parking lot with, $900. So I think for us, it was a lot more like, dude, this is definitely probably won't work out. But I think we understood that a lot of it came down to attention to detail, in the sense that Dave was obviously a chef, and he knew what he was doing when it came to the food. He knew what he was doing when it came to the spices and the flavoring, and how to set up an overall restaurant experience. And I knew the details of marketing and how to kind of create an image of brand. And the way I looked at it was, your business could be like a person, and the brand is like the personality. So you could have a good business, but if the personality or the branding isn't good, it doesn't work so well. So with the combination of those, and understanding all these different factors, I think that's what kind of determines it, because a lot of teams might not have, all the, for instance, when we started Dave's, Dave wanted to, pickle our own cucumbers and make our own bread. And I was telling Bill today, and, I had to come in and be like, look, I know you're a chef and you like all this culinary stuff, but, starting a fast casual and pickling your own cucumbers is almost a recipe for failing very, very fast, especially if you start getting really big. You're not going to be able to keep up with the demand. You're going to be forced to switch your methods and start getting, regular pickles or regular bread. And people are going to look at you like, hey, you changed your ingredients, and they're not going to like it as much. So I think another thing we understood was the ingredients we start with in the beginning should be the ingredients we keep, so we never lose that quality. So we started, the business with, very basic, in the sense that like we didn't go very fancy with the ingredients, because we wanted to create this good flavor with something very base, because we also understood when it came time to expand, we didn't want to change, the things we were using. And we understood if we went too high in quality, that might have been a factor when it came to expanding. So I think it's a lot of different factors, and restaurants can, if they don't hit any of those steps along the first year, any of them could cause them to fail, whether it's the wrong branding, the wrong recipes, changing recipes when they expand, like Des said, not picking the right location and things like that. So I think it could be any one of the factors, and that's why the number is so high for failed restaurants.
The other thing is, a lot of people like the fine dining or full service restaurant industry. It's very sexy, but I compare it to like the mega slot machine in Vegas. It looks really cool, but the odds are stacked against you, and it's a machine that's going to take your money, and that's the full service restaurant business. And if you go over to the blackjack table and you're a smart guy and a card counter, you can actually make money or not lose very much money when you're smart about what table you're going to sit at. But the fast casual and fast food, you can be successful in. Full service is throwing your money away for the most part. The other thing about it is your numbers are right, 80 to 90% of restaurants fail in the first 2 to 3 years, but only about 10% of franchise businesses fail in the first 2 to 3 years, because the franchises have figured out the model and have figured out the 1,000 details that make it work. And if I was to start again in the restaurant industry, I'd go out and buy a franchise from a Jersey Mike's and learn the business that way. You can't go and be in the sandwich business again. That's called illegal. But you can go into other fast food concepts, whether it's tacos or burritos. And at that time, you will have really learned the business and overcome a lot of hurdles.
Thank you. Arthur?
Yeah, so when we were gonna start, I remember family, friends, they told me those numbers. And this isn't my first business. It's the first restaurant I've been into, but it's not the first thing I've tried. So I know you fail. Probably in the business world, it's higher than that. But how I see it is, you said 6 out of 10, I believe, right? 60% fail first year. So how I see it is 4 out of 10 don't fail in the first year. And you said 8 out of 10 fail within 5 years, but 2 out of 10 make it for a lifetime. So I try to put myself and Pokitomik in that 2 category instead of the 8. So I would check out research. Research is very important. Why did those 8 not make it? What is the reason? Because it's so high, and I think Bill mentioned it. One of it is that the big restaurant chains, like it looks attractive, like the sushi restaurants. A lot of sushi restaurants don't make it. The overhead is really high. It's crazy. There's a lot of issues in it, and so we didn't want to get into that. I felt like the odds were against us more, and we did a lot of research, and we asked the 2 out of 10 people, hey, how are you still around for 12 years, 14 years? And we took notes, and a lot of them mentioned the same ingredients, you could say, for success, which was, marketing, quality of food. One of the main things they would tell me is do not change the quality of the food. That's how people fall off. They get bigger, it changes, people see that, and, they're going to recognize that. And taking care of your employees. That's important. A lot of people came into business, they didn't really care about their employees, and they failed. And we liked the fast food concept, and we ran the numbers. It was less overhead, less headaches, and so the risk was less. And honestly, a little bit of it is hanging in there. So, I don't know about the other gentlemen, but we took a loss for a long time. And I took personal loans out to keep going. So we were failing. I was part of the 6 out of 10. But we kept going. We believed in ourselves, in our concept, in our food. Heck, I've even, side note, but I've paid my one of my managers through what's it called? What's that app? Venmo. I've paid him in Venmo, bro. So through a credit card. That's a real fact. Because we were behind, but we kept going, and we were working ourselves. So I think the other reason is people give up too early. They leave before it happens, basically. So I think another important thing is just hanging in there, believing in yourself, and working hard, and and that's what we've done.
Thanks, Arthur. Yeah, that's very valuable input from all of you. I feel like even I have a bit more motivation now. So for the next question, what is one key factor that you think makes a food product trendy and attractive to customers? Let's start with Dave's.
Arman's got to answer that.
You said what keeps it attractive to the customers?
Yeah, the food product.
I would say going back to one of our previous answers is the quality of the food and how it tastes. And I think a lot of restaurants, funny enough, overlook that, which is, it should be common sense that if you're in the restaurant industry, the main thing you should focus on before everything else is the food. So I think that's a really big aspect, because like I said, the example with In-N-Out, we go there and there's still lines there till today. They're not on any third parties. They're not really, doing anything to help you get the food any more convenient, but we still go because, when you're craving a certain flavor of food, it's almost like you do anything to get it. So understanding that, I think, obviously the branding is very important, the marketing is very important, and store design, all those things, but obviously they're very secondary to the food, because you could have an amazing looking store, you could have amazing marketing, you can have amazing operations and a great team, but if the food and the product isn't up to the level of the customer's needs, then it's not going to cut it, and they're not going to come. I mean, there's tons of restaurants that have great marketing, great things. We don't go there, and people don't go there because you don't crave the flavor. So I think, again, the number one thing is just the flavor of the food, and the craveability of the food. And going back to what Bill said, the travelability of food, because a lot of people don't necessarily eat in the restaurant, and the food needs to still, like in and out, again, it doesn't taste that well after 15, 20 minutes. And the great thing about Dave's is because it's fried chicken, 15, 20, 30 minutes later, it still tastes as good as it initially did. So it gives us, it's like a little extra room for error, because people can take it home and eat it and still love it. So just to round up, just flavor of the food overall, just quality and flavor of the food.
Okay, thank you. And what do you think makes food trendy or marketable, specifically about your business?
Again, just the people live, because the people ask us all the time, what do you guys do with Dave's? Why is it so popular? What do you guys do with the marketing and things like that? And I'll give them the same answer. I'm like, it's easy to market the food. It's easy to make your food trendy. It's easy to make your food popular when the food is good. When people come into your restaurant, they eat the food. So let's say for Dave's, we have a lot of artwork. We have a lot of lights and music. And I'll tell people, if people came in and they ate the sandwich and it didn't taste good, they'd look around and be like, nah, this art sucks, and these lights or whatever. And they wouldn't, because they're not satisfied with the food. But because they come in and they eat the food and the food is so good, they appreciate the art more now. And they appreciate the lights more. And it adds to your cool factor, and adds to your trend factor. And people want to post more about it on social media, and people want to tell each other about it. People swear by Dave's. We've met people in Vegas that have like bowed to, so people, that brings the trendability, is people eat it and they like it so much, is we like to say they become a fan of your brand, they become a fan of the food, and they'll do the marketing for you, and they'll tell all their friends. And we see people all the time, like, I bring a new person to the restaurant every week, and because I love it so much and I want everyone to try it. And, all we do is make the food. So we make the food good, and the food kind of helps everything else be trendy, whether it's the designs of the stores, whether it's the pictures we post, our captions, whatever we do. The fact that the food tastes good helps it trend, because if the food wasn't good, again, no matter how well you did everything, you wouldn't be able to get it trending, because people wouldn't want to eat it.
Mm-hmm. So the food's at the center of it. Thanks.
It has to be the center of it. It's absolutely essential. I mean, like I said, when I go to a restaurant, how much I like the restaurant is determined by how much I like the food. If I don't like the food, I don't like my waiter, I don't like the table, I don't like this place, I don't want to come back. I'm very like that. I'm a very picky person. But if I go somewhere and I love the food, I love this place, I love my waiter, I love I love everything. This food is amazing. I go tell everybody about it. That is the kind of person I am. So I kind of get like that. Is there's people like me that if they go to a restaurant and the food is not good, they don't care about anything else. They don't care how cool you are. They don't care who eats at your restaurant. They don't care what celebrities endorse you. They don't care, because the food is not good. But if the food is tasty, they don't care who doesn't like you. They don't care who doesn't go there, because they love the food. They want the flavor of the food. And that makes you popular. That makes you trending, because more people are coming to you every day, because people are craving the food. And, when people look, like, oh, Dave's is popular, people are going there. And it kind of just creates this snowball effect of trendiness and popularity. And it kind of makes it easier for us to market the brand.
Thank you. Great. Desi?
Yeah, I think Dave's and Arman said it best. They have a really, really deep understanding on what makes a restaurant brand so successful. It really comes down to the food. That's the first foremost thing. That's what you're selling, right? You got to have a really good product. I really believe in like the 80-20 rule. Your customers are probably coming, 80% of your customers are probably coming to your restaurant to buy the same 20% of your top products. And for us, it's our acai products. We have acai, we have smoothies, wrap salads, we have poke. But really, like, we have one of the best acai blends. In my opinion, I have people all over the country telling us that we have, one of the best blends they've ever tasted. And I spent 3 years perfecting a blend. We actually used to buy packets. We used to blend it ourselves in the store in front of the customer. Now we've created our own proprietary blend that I work with a manufacturing company. And we spent a year on that recipe, perfecting it, blind tasting it to customers using our previous blends and our new blends, and just figuring out what customers love. And us, like that attention to detail is so important, because you're going to have like these raving fans that are always going to come back. They're going to crave it. You just have to, put it in front of them. You have to market it to them. They will come back and they'll tell their friends. So that is the most important thing, is making sure that you have a good product. There's nothing wrong with expanding your line of products. That was one of the first things that I did. Was I didn't want to just be another acai chain, because I knew that this was a growing trend or fad, if you will. Will it stay around forever? I would hope so. If you look at the California market, acai is a huge part of that culture over there. And I'm seeing that on the East Coast too. But the thing is, on the East Coast, it is very seasonal, right? It gets really cold here. I mean, right now I'm in New Jersey. It's about 50 degrees outside. It's cold. People don't want to drink smoothies or eat acai. They'll buy our poke. They'll buy our hot wraps. So I think understanding that and knowing what's going to fit into your product mix is important. And understanding, you had mentioned trends before. I think consumer preference is always going to change. What people like to eat. As I mentioned before, I think a huge trend that I've been seeing is healthy, right? Customers want to eat healthier. And one thing that's really grown a lot, in my opinion, is vegetarian and vegan options. What I've noticed is a lot of customers that want to eat, vegan or vegetarian options, and they're not vegan or vegetarian, which is kind of cool. They'll throw that into their weekly mix. So understanding that and having options to cater to that demographic is great. But that being said, like, you still want to have like really great products that people always eat. I think that chicken is an amazing product. Pizza, burgers, those are menu items that have stood the test of time, in my opinion. Like Dave's Chicken. If you guys have a really good product, you're going to be around for a long time, because people won't get sick of that. People will always eat that. With me, the way I look at an acai product, it's like, okay, I know it does well in California. It's been around for about 2 decades. Will that last on the East Coast? So you have to look at it market by market or market. Going back to your question about how you market it, I think it's also very important to understand your customer. I know that my customer is a majority millennials. Before we expanded into poke and wraps and salads, it was all millennials, all girls. If you went into one of my stores prior to COVID, you would see just packed with teenage girls or girls that are in their 20s. So how we market it to them is pretty specific. If you look at our Instagram and social media, the colors that we use light pastel colors to appeal to them. And that's something important too when you think about how you market online. Everything's online now, right? We talked about that. The way we do our listings on DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, we use really beautiful pictures with the pastel colors. It pops. One thing advice I want to give you guys, like what we found is, one, obviously having really good pictures of your product is super important, because that's what sells, right? You have to sell it to your customer while they're looking at their phone. If they're looking at it Uber or an Instagram or wherever, what we found is like standing out. The way you market, like, do you stand out on Uber Eats? Do you stand out on DoorDash when people are scrolling through and they're looking for something to eat? So that's important too. And having like, I think if you have a really good photographer or marketing team, you can make any type of food look super sexy and good to eat. But that's important, right? You want to make your customer hungry. You want to make them look at it and then say, oh, I want to eat this. Like, this looks really good. But yeah, going back to what Arman was saying about the food is by far the most important thing. Really having a great product to fall back on.
Right. Thank you. I like how you mentioned catering to consumer culture and having a product that targets a certain customer base that caters to their culture. And I think that I would agree with that. And it's a valuable piece of input from you. And having also, of course, products that stand the test of time. Now, Arthur, would you say the same thing, or do you have another opinion on that?
I think they covered it. Definitely, number one thing is quality, because you can trick someone into your restaurant but eventually they're gonna try your food. So if it sucks, they're not gonna come back. For us, because we serve poke, very you know, like it's fish. It has to be fresh. It's very easy to see if fish is not fresh. So we make sure that our fish is delivered freshly every morning. So that's the number one thing I would say. And another important thing is like the appearance. So like if you've seen ads on McDonald's and stuff, right? Not to talk any smack on McDonald's, but I eat it once in a while. But when you look at it, you're like, oh my God, that looks delicious. And then you go to McDonald's and it looks like crap, man. But then you fall for it every like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. You still fall for it. Their advertising is amazing, by the way. And so what we try to do is the appearance, keep the appearance of like what we're selling on our Instagram and our social media to what it actually is. And especially with now this online thing going on, you now have to get it to them at the house through Grubhub delivery, looking like how you presented it originally to them. And so that's another thing that makes your food attractive or trendy. And also, you have to be a little different than all the rest because there's so much competition, especially in California. There's like a million restaurants, and so you have to bring something different to the table. So that is mainly why we, started with just the poke bowl and moved on to the wonton tacos, and then we brought in the jicama tacos because we found out some people don't want to eat fried food. For example, when they're eating poke, they don't want fried food, so we brought the jicama shells. And then somebody wants keto; they're on a keto diet, so trying to attract those customers at the same time. So just going back and forth basically, and you just got to cater to your different customers depending on what food you're selling basically. And our food, our demographic is basically young people, young to old, but mainly people on diets or trying to stay healthy and stuff. But yeah, that's about it. But like Desi was sharing, depending on the like he said, burgers, fried chicken, that's been tested, and like poke is kind of a new concept. You could say sort of a new concept, so we're still testing it. But yeah, that's about it. But quality, definitely quality, because even in burgers, a lot of people don't like burger. I love burgers, and when I go somewhere, it has to be a quality burger. I don't care how much carbs or what's in it. It has to be a quality burger, and I will buy it. I will drive. I will wait in line. Same for a fried chicken. Same thing. It has to be. It has to look like the picture for me, and for like Dave's, it's exactly like the picture. So I was. It's worth waiting in line at Dave's.
Definitely is.
Much love.
Thank you.
Dude, you guys know Dave and some of your cousins, right? From Pokitomik?
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah, my
Dave's
partner
Pokitomik.
is David Kopushian's cousin. Their uncle, their dads are brothers.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Oh, wow.
Fun fact.
Fun fact.
That's awesome.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Dave is awesome.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
Well, if he made food like that, he definitely is awesome.
Yeah, he was the spice nerd at the Arts Institute. And while everyone else was in the baking section, he would be in the spice room, smelling the different spices and what they could do for food. And so he's the reason they came up with the really hot spices for Dave's hot chicken. And
That's why his nose is so big, because of all the spices he sniffed in school.
Genius. All right. So this next question kind of ties into the last one, so we'll be really quick. But the question is, some may argue that marketing is a key element to scaling in the food business. What is your personal approach to digital and social media marketing specifically? And is there any other type of way that you market your brand? Desi, how about you?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. I think I kind of mentioned before, earlier prior to COVID, it was a game of trying to get who you're marketing to come into the restaurant, which it's tough, right? And there's two aspects. Can you get a customer to come into the restaurant, or can you get them to order online or through DoorDash or Grubhub? Because things have shifted towards third-party delivery. The nice thing about like DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, they all have their great marketing platforms, right? So this is going back to understanding each one of them. You can log in, you can run different marketing like free delivery, $3 off of 15. So you have to know what works really well, and you can direct it towards new customer or existing customers. That's what I love about these third-party delivery platforms. They get a lot of slack because, obviously they take a lot of fees, but if you understand them, it's kind of like selling. I always use the analogy of like selling on Amazon, right? They have millions and millions and millions of customers, right? It's the really good sellers that understand how to do it on each platform that are successful, right? So the nice thing about that is that you have those tools if you're using these third-party platforms. And what we do is we run different types of marketing. We speak to our reps. I would encourage any restaurant operator to make sure they know who their rep is, and at least try to get them on the phone at least once a month, because that really helps in terms of them telling you what to market, how to market, what campaigns work really well. And they might even take it a step further and tell you what are the opportunities in the market. They might tell you, what's doing well right now, vegan options or keto options, or, et cetera. So I get a lot of like really good information from my reps, and we market on third party. Things that I've tried and that I've done in the past, a lot of social media. We've done a lot of, Facebook marketing and paid ad spend on Instagram. That works really well. Depending on the time frame that you're spending. Throughout COVID, it's been a little bit more expensive, especially during the election too, just because I guess there's a lot of Facebook spending that's going on, so it's driving the costs up. I'm not sure if anybody else is experiencing that too. And we've done, the listing platforms like Yelp. You can advertise to them. Waze, believe it or not, is a really, really good platform to advertise on. When people are driving their cars, sometimes you'll see ads that pop up. Right. We found really good return on that because people will actually click on your when your ad pops up, they'll click on it and they'll drive to your restaurant, which is kind of crazy. But Waze is owned by Google now, and they'll give you metrics and they'll tell you how many people actually clicked and actually came to your restaurant, which is really cool. So we've done a lot of it. What we like to focus on now is on our existing customer base. Between all of our stores, I think we have close to like 75,000 people in our rewards platform. That in itself, in my opinion, is probably the most important and powerful marketing tool that we have. Because once somebody signs up for our marketing, we remarket to them. We send them text messages, emails. If you don't come back to us like within a month, we know, and we have automatic, messaging that's sent out to you to get you back to return. If you don't return for a certain time period, we give you discounts to come back. And we also encourage, bringing friends in. So, what they were saying before, telling your friends, but also enticing them. So through our marketing, our rewards platforms at Mango, we do referrals. So, you refer your friend and they sign up with our rewards platform, they might get $2 or $3 off their first order. And the person that referred them gets it as well too. So that works really, really well. In my opinion, it's a lot easier to use your existing base to market than to throw out ads on Facebook and Instagram and to get a complete stranger to look at your ad and then entice them to buy from you. The challenge with that is like when you're running an ad on Facebook or Instagram, they might see like a delicious product, but are they ready to eat? That's the problem, right? You got to get them at the time, like when they're ready to eat. And if somebody's seeing something at like, I don't know, they just ate lunch and all of a sudden they see your ad, it's kind of a waste of a spend there. So understanding that and timing, but that's why I really like the DoorDash and the Grubhub and Uber Eats marketing. It's because they control that really well, and they're showing your ads to the right people at the right time. the people that are on the platform already and they're ready to buy. So for us, you know, it's a lot of social media, and then it's marketing directly on the third-party delivery platforms.
Okay. And I heard you mention bottom of funnel marketing, which is like loyalty and referral programs for your already existing customers. Would you say that that is a more powerful form of marketing than top of funnel marketing like Facebook ads, or they're equally important to you?
Yeah, I would say it's way more important. I mean,
Oh,
you could look at everything as one funnel. You can look at the way I look at my funnel. It's like complete stranger. Then they know about us, right? And once they know about us, we either have to get them through the door, which is pretty tough, or I can run an ad and entice them to download my app from Facebook or Instagram, and they get, you know, $3 off their first order. They don't have to use that right away. So that funnel looks like, you know, complete stranger. They see an ad, they download the app. The nice thing is that they don't have to eat or order right away, but once they're in my system, you know, that's the goal. We want to get them signed up because now we have their phone number, their email. They gave us consent to market to them, right? So if they don't order on the spot right there, guess what? They're going to get messaging from us tomorrow or over the weekend, right? So our funnel looks like that. It's making sure that when we're showing our ads, the call to action is not just like, hey, just look at our ad and let's hope and pray they decide to, you know, get in their car and drive to us. No, it's we want them to sign up. We want their information so that we can market back to them. So I think that's really an important distinction there. It took me a while to learn that. But you know, you always want to collect your customer information. I just looked at my metrics for my website. You know, in 12 months, we did 1 million views on the website, which I was very surprised. So, you know, that's the top of the funnel. Like those people that are coming to the website, are they just looking at it and then leaving? You know, is that bounce rate really high? And if so, it's kind of like a customer came into your restaurant, they took a look around and they just left, right? So when you look at it from a digital space, it's different. You want them to go to your website, you want them to see your ad and then do something. You know, you want them to sign up for your, you know, hopefully you have a rewards platform, they sign up, now you have their information and you achieved your goal. And then your goal from there is to, you know, continue to market them to get them to come to order from you.
okay. Thank you. Arthur?
Yeah, I definitely think marketing is very important. We use all kinds of marketing ourselves. In the beginning, I was a little more hesitant because there was so many options. It's like, okay, bro, if we pay for this and this and this, what's left over for us? It was kind of a risk, but I'm glad my partner Sako, he said, trust me, man, this is what's hip now and everything. Let's just try it all. And you know, fortunately he was right. You know, everyone's on their phone today. So like nonstop. You go sit down outside, it's mom and dad and 2 kids, like no one's even looking at each other anymore. So they're just so you know, you want them to be at least looking at your page maybe. So yeah, we definitely use Instagram marketing, you know, Yelp, Google, whatever we can, and they all have their own benefit. Not everything's equal, and like Desi was sharing a refer program. We have that point system ourselves. I haven't looked at it recently how successful it is, but I know people who are very loyal to Pokitomik. They come back, they collect the points. When I was myself at the restaurant not too long ago, I've seen people come in and use those points, and you know, definitely I would say marketing is a big factor, and also I've noticed a lot of the older generation who don't market at all. I think they're part of the 8 out of 10 that don't make it. A lot of them, because they just rely on like, oh, people will just come to my restaurant. Well, like there's a million of them. Why should they come to yours? So definitely, it's a big part of restaurant businesses marketing.
Thanks. Dave's?
Go to the marketing genius, Arman.
Yeah, you're too kind, Bill. You know, it's funny. It's it's a good example of like how, different methods of marketing can work for different people, because unlike what Des said, we're very heavy on Instagram. And the reason, because before we started Dave's, I would do stand-up comedy and acting and make, comedy videos on Instagram. So, I kind of understood that the right trending video can get you tons of views and bring a ton of attention to you. So when we started Dave's, we did because obviously we didn't have any money for a marketing team. We started the concept with $900. So the one form of marketing we did have was Instagram and being able to take really good pictures of the food, because the food was very photogenic. So we put a heavy emphasis on taking tons of very, very attractive pictures of food, because from our experience, what we saw on Instagram is when we saw a very attractive picture of food, we initially clicked the location, clicked directions, and went there and got the food. So we assumed a lot of people might do the same. So we went very heavy on that. It worked really, really well for us in the beginning. It got the attention of Farley Elliott, who's a writer for Eater LA, which brought him over to Dave's. And he wrote an article about us that was a very big marketing boost. So the initial marketing of Instagram and getting popular in such a short amount of time caught the attention of a really, really big food blogger, which gave us another dimension to our marketing. And after that, again, we doubled down. And I know how Des was talking about, I think he said in the past 12 months, he's got 1 million views. But on Instagram, if you do things right, so from a post that we posted on October 30th, we've reached 765,000 people with that post in 17 days.
Wow.
And from that, over 500 people have gotten directions to the restaurant. 5,000 people have visited our website through that post. 40 message trends have been started, and 40,000 people have visited the Instagram profile after that. So with a post that, it was a free post, we took a picture, we posted it. With just that one post, it's reached over almost 1 million people in 17 days. But I was like, said, not every one of them will come to your store, but if you post enough and you get it in their face enough and the food looks attractive enough, and if the product does live up to the pictures, then people will come in and people will try it. And I always tell people, not that it's easy to get people to come in, but again, if you post these really craveable pictures, like Art said, you can get people to come in through the door and try the food, especially if you have a good Instagram marketing strategy. But the challenge is actually making the food good so you can keep the customers. So we understood that because our food is good and we go heavy on Instagram, we can get a lot of people to come in. And that, again, also, like I said, gave us multiple different dimensions to our marketing, because since we have such a big Instagram following, I think it's almost 160,000 followers. And since we reach so many people, it's really easy for us to get anybody to do any articles about us. And people usually approach us versus them, including DoorDash and Postmates. They've kind of all approached us and said, hey, you guys are very highly searched on our apps, and we're not working with you guys. So just the popularity of us on Instagram caused all these different ripple effects of marketing to come into play, whether it was bloggers coming in and posting on YouTube, whether it was people writing articles about us. And actually, Ty Phelps, Bill's son, is our director of marketing, and he does an amazing job with off Instagram marketing, which is anything that has to do with articles, merch stuff, which is also a different form of marketing that people, don't necessarily understand. Is you can market a lot of different ways that don't have to do with just your food and Instagram, because obviously we have Bill knows we have golf balls with little Dave's Hot Chicken logos on them that people are passing around to each other. So there's all these different forms of marketing, but I feel like a lot of it also is going to come because a lot of the young people, the first thing I do when I hear about a concept is I'll check their Instagram and their social media to see their following. And then for me, that determines how cool they are and whether or not I should be trying their food. So we really take that approach, and we understand that when people look at our profile and they see such a popular brand, it's incentive for them to want to help us with or write articles about us or kind of do anything we want for them. So we're kind of heavy on that. But like I said, it's interesting because depending on your food and depending on the type of people that you want to bring in, kind of different forms of marketing can work for you. For us, our food is not healthy, and we don't plan on making it healthy because, we think like there's enough healthy food out there, and, it'd be cool to have like one junk food type of place. So we're kind of like that cheat meal thing. So for us, we don't need to work as hard on getting these healthy people to come in. It's for us, it's just we post these grungy, craveable pictures, these fatty pictures, and these people that don't care about health will look at it and be like, I'm gonna go try that. Then they try it and then they like it, and that's how you keep the customer. So we just kind of try to simplify it as much as possible because we didn't have the money for marketing, but it worked really, really well for us. So we're much heavier on Instagram, but we also use our Instagram to get different forms of marketing also.
Okay, thank you so much. So going on to our last predetermined question. This one is a big one. So the question is, some of the students attending this event have future ambitions to start a restaurant or enter the food business. For example, I may have mentioned this. Personally, my family owns a bakery and cafe in Los Angeles, and even I may possibly take over in the future. So for students like me and students who just want to pursue their entrepreneurial drive to start from scratch, what are some pointers you would like to give? Let's start with Desi.
Yeah. This is specifically to start a restaurant, correct?
Yes, specifically.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, if you want to get into the business and start one, I highly suggest just working in a restaurant for a couple years. Try to work all aspects of it, back of the house, front of the house, management. If you're lucky enough to have somebody in your family that owns a restaurant business or a friend, ask if you can work in it, or even just shadow them for as much as possible to see every aspect of it. I think, that there's a sexiness factor that people see from the outside, but they don't see all the hard work that goes on the back end. And, it really is a grind, making sure that you're creating your product, you're making everything, the food doesn't spoil, you're keeping your expenses under control. So I would encourage any potential restaurateur to really, 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 just go through all motions of it, experience it, work in it, work every single position if you can, cleaning, making things. If you're an owner of a restaurant, and this goes to any type of business owner, you're going to be doing everything, even like construction at some point.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that go into it. And, like we talked about before, it is a high risk business. Like you said before, there's a high percentage of them that fail. So if anybody's going to take the time and invest into this and really make this, this is a commitment. If you're going to own a restaurant, you can't really just do this part-time. And I think people think that. I don't know about you guys, but I get a ton of franchisees that reach out and they think it's like an investment. They want to dump some money and they're like, yeah, I got some money and I want to invest. And I tell them it's not an investment. You're going to be working in there 60, 70, 80 hours a week. The other thing that's really important is to make sure that if you're a potential restaurateur, this is your passion. This is what you want to do. You want to go into a restaurant every day. You want to make food. On days you don't want to, you want to serve people. Like this is your calling. You want to do this every single day because it's not easy. This is a retail business. You're open. Probably all of us here, we're open, every single day. Retail hours. My stores are open 8 to 8. In summer hours 8 to 10. So these are long hours that you have to operate. You got to make sure that you're operating, people are happy. So again, any potential restaurateur, make sure that one, you're super passionate about doing this. And then you really experience it yourself. Don't just go in blindly.
Yeah. Passion and experience are important, without a doubt. Thank you. Arthur?
Yeah, I would definitely advise everyone to basically, first and foremost, you're gonna want to do this like Desi said, full time. This isn't like a side project or anything or a 9 to 5. It's nothing like that. It is not easy. It is sometimes not fun. It's very frustrating, but I would recommend keep going. Don't give up. Be part of the 20% that does make it. Do your research. See the ones that have made it. What have they done? Me personally, any of the people watching, if they have any questions at any time, you can write down our email, and I will personally help them out with anything I can. I have no problem with that. Give them any advice that they're going through. Don't expect to succeed overnight. Like Desi was sharing, you expect to work. For us, we worked 12-hour days when we just started. 12-hour days, and The restaurant business is not like any other business. You know, I have investments in the auto industry, and Saturday, Sunday, it's closed. After 5, it's closed. Not restaurants. It's open from morning to night. Before it's open. At night, it's night, Monday to Sunday. Unless you're Chick-fil-A, you're closed on Sundays. But everyone else is open Monday to Sunday. And, you know, don't give up. That's all I have to say. Like, don't give up. Just keep going. Keep believing in yourself and work hard. Like, one reason we made it is the work we put into it, like the actual sweat we put into it, nonstop, you know. And also do a lot of research on the costs. Don't just go into it just because you have extra money and you want to just put it into it. You know, you see, I'll give an example. I'll boost Dave's right now. After Dave's success, we noticed like 1 million hot chicken places all around Glendale, this, that. No offense to anyone that's associated with any of them. I have a friend that owns one of them actually, but they expect it to blow up like that, you know, and unfortunately that's not going to happen for everyone, you know. And but don't give up, as in if it doesn't work out for you, maybe there's something else, another style, like to just keep going, basically. Work hard, and but know that the restaurant business is not for everyone too. It just isn't. But yeah, do your research, and then again, like I said, if anyone has any questions or any help that they need, I can personally Pokitomik@gmail. You could refer to Arthur, and I'll answer any questions anyone has. I could be of help or service.
Okay, you guys heard that? Pokitomik@gmail. All right, thank you, Arthur. So that was our last question. Actually, sorry, Dave didn't answer that.
You didn't answer.
Forget us. Do you
He
want me to
forgot
start?
us. I can't
You want me to
freaking
start and you
believe
can finish it? Huh? Do you want me to start and you can finish it off, Bill?
Go ahead. You start, I'll finish. Great.
We'll save the best for last. We'll save Bill for last. I think the advice that I would give to anybody that gets in the restaurant industry is one thing that's very important is the team and who you start the business with. I mean, that can make all the difference right off the bat. With Dave's, all of the founders had really good chemistry, and we each played a specific role. And obviously, like Desnar said, we knew we had to work, and we knew it wasn't going to be easy. So we understood that we needed to put the work in. So that's another thing that people need to understand is it's going to be a lot of work. The team you start with is very important because the chemistry within the team and how everybody reacts to each other is very important for when the business grows and all the different like challenges that will come along the way. And another thing is having a passion for the type of food you're doing and understanding the history of the food, you know, just all of the details of the food. I mean, fried chicken was always my favorite food. So I loved it. I knew what made good fried chicken. I had, you know, we had all our standards. And even when we started developing the recipe, we got even more into it. And we learned as much as possible we could about it. So another thing is knowing the product, knowing what you're making, and understanding how you want to make it, what style. I mean, there's a million types of fried chicken. There's Honey's Kettle, which is like honey fried chicken. There's regular. There's obviously Nashville hot. So understanding what type of food you want to do in which which genre of food, understanding all the details about it, understanding what people love about it and what the essence of the food is, really dedicating yourself to the essence, dedicating yourself to the food, to the overall marketing, to the work, to the process and the journey, and appreciating it and enjoying it, because a lot of people, like Art said, they do it because they think, you know, they're going to blow up. When we started Dave's, you know, it's been 3 years and we have 200 locations signed off, but I remember me and the guy sat down and we're like, look, guys, we might have to be in this parking lot for 1.5 years. After 1.5 years, if we save up enough money, we'll get a food truck for another 1.5 years. And then maybe by the 3rd year, we can transition into our first store. So in our minds, we were ready to work really, really hard for 3 years in order to get our first store. So we didn't go into it with the expectation of we'll get our first store right away. It was, this is going to be hard. We're going to have to work, but we're not going to give up. We're going to keep trying. We're going to learn everything we don't know along the way. We're going to keep getting better. And we're going to do it as long as it takes. And obviously our results were a lot quicker, and we had our, you know, first store within 5 months, and now in 3 years again, we're at 200 stores and not one store. So it's important to not have expectations, because having high expectations can cause you to be disappointed when the expectations don't happen. If you think you're gonna get your first store in 5 months, and 5 months in you don't have your first store, it can destroy your confidence and you might give up. Versus you go into it with no expectation, doing it for the love of the food, doing it because you want to give people the food you love in the way you love it, and understanding that it's going to take some work, and understanding, like Art said, you might not have your first store in a year or 6 months, but if you keep working, you will eventually get to all your goals if you're passionate and you have love for the food you're doing.
Thank you.
And
Passionate.
I would say, to add on to what the guy said, I think they did a good job. You got to be a student of the industry. There's so much information out there between podcasts and masterclass and books, and the owners of these change. You know, the Howard Schultzes and the people like that are out telling their stories, and you just have to listen, and you learn so much from these great entrepreneurs, and the information is out there. The other thing that I would say is business partners, absolutely critical. Wetzel's never would have made it without us giving up a third of the business and bringing in the son of a billionaire who's a movie producer, and then the chairman of Northwest Airlines. And those people changed our business, and those people pushed us to be disciplined, watch our overhead, and do all the things that made us successful. And then we went back to those same people for our Blaze Pizza expansion and the Dave's Hot Chicken expansion. So this stuff all works on itself. But the business partners are absolutely critical as you build a business. And I'll take a couple words of wisdom from Rick Wetzel. He said, "This is not a dress rehearsal for your next life. This is all you get." And so my feeling is you go for it. And if you fail, that's okay. You have to try. Whether it's in the food business or whatever, you go for it and you try to do something really incredible. And then the last thing is, it isn't so much about the money you make. Everyone thinks the brass ring is making a ton of money on one of these deals. The brass ring is the journey, and it's the people you meet and the things you experience along the way that are really what it's all about. And it's a really, really fun ride. That's it.
That's I mean, just really going back to what Bill said, the last thing is so true, because I mean, we met Bill and John, I think maybe 7-8 months into our first store, and it completely, I mean, we've been approached a lot before that, but when we met them, like you said, it just, we right away had the right chemistry. We saw that they had a lot of respect for us. They didn't treat us like kids. They genuinely liked the brand and they wanted to help expand it. And I mean, if it wasn't for the chemistry we have between us as partners, you know, you don't know how far the business could have gone. You know, there could have been so many things along the way where, you know, there could have been arguments and all these things within the company that could have destroyed the company from the inside. But, you know, having partners that kind of understand each other, you know, like being around each other and genuinely like working together, it kind of completely changes up the fabric of the brand. And it's really amazing to get to work with people like, you know, Bill and John and everybody, because like he said, we're getting disciplined by them. We're learning from them. They've done it before. And the fact that, you know, we're working with them, it's really flattering and humbling to us, because these guys are, you know, they're like legends in the food industry. You know, they've done so much. So partners are absolutely critical. I mean, we've learned so much, and Dave's would absolutely not be where it is today if it wasn't for them. I can definitely guarantee to say that. So that's how big partners are, that if we hadn't met Bill and John and we hadn't done the partnership with them, we definitely would not have been at 200 locations sold, and I don't think we would have been at 6-7 locations open. So, you know, going back to what Bill said, it's all about partners. It's about the journey, having fun, and kind of enjoying the experience. And the money, Bill. You know it's about the money. He's just saying that because he already got his check. It's easy to say that when you got 2 of them already, Bill. We're still waiting on our. He's like, it's not about the check.
Jokes.
It is when you're waiting for it, Bill. No, I'm just kidding. No, he's definitely right. Bill's definitely right.
Okay, other questions, right?
We do have about 12 minutes for audience questions. I was thinking of wrapping it up, but I can do the audience questions if need be. Those are all the questions that we wrapped up.
Okay. That's fine.
That's fine?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you guys so much for coming. I'm gonna go ahead and do the outro. Since we ran out of time, we couldn't do the audience questions, unfortunately. But to wrap this up, I want to first thank the speakers for taking their valuable time to be at this webinar event. And second, I'd like to thank everybody who attended. So yeah, I hope everybody has a great rest of their night. Thank you and take care. Goodbye.
Thanks so much, everybody. Thank you.